Let's continue to read Psalm 142, a maskil of David when he was in the cave, a prayer. Ooh. So I believe this is the time that he was in the cave, and Solomon came in the cave too, looking for David. But Solomon didn't know David was in that cave. So let's continue. I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out my complaint before him. Before him, I tell my trouble. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who know my way. In the path where I walk, men have hidden a snare for me. Look to my right and see. No one is concerned for me. I have no refuge. No one cares for my life. I cry to you, O Lord. I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Listen to my cry, for I am in desperate need. Rescue me from those who pursue me, for they are too strong for me. Set me free from my prison, that I may praise your name. Then the righteous will gather about me because of your goodness to me. So again, I believe this is when David was fleeing, because Solomon at the time, or Saul at the time, knew that David was going to eventually be king. He didn't know how or when, but Saul wanted to do things his way. And so the Lord kept allowing for things to happen to Saul, because Saul didn't seek the Lord all the time. When he did, he sought the Lord as like the Lord was on demand. Like, you do what I say, when I pray to you, you do what I ask you to do. That is not quite how it goes. We don't control the creator. We are the creation. We are to recognize that. And so, but Saul did, he did a lot of things that he did follow the Lord's guidance a lot in his life. And so he was anointed, he was later. And so during this time though, he was thinking in his head, like, oh, here's this person that all of Israel loves, named David. This is after David, Goliath, and all that stuff. And he had made David a trusted advisor in his, court. And so, but he didn't like David, because he was, some of it was jealousy, some of it was that evil spirit getting to Saul, telling him, hey, look, you can off David, because David won't do anything. And Saul was just in his head and not seeking the Lord, because these were tests. These were things that Saul were to deal with, and he unfortunately wasn't living up to his anointed, what he was supposed to be doing. So at the time. And so David, fled. He knew that Saul, he didn't want to fight Saul. He didn't want to kill Saul. He knew Saul was anointed. He knew Saul was leader. So David was like, this is the person that's supposed to lead Israel right now. I may lead a future time, but that's up to the Lord. And I know Saul, he's chasing after me, but it's not for me to return the favor. Ooh, Point number 45 million. Here. Remember, turning the other cheek. Remember, allowing for, things may happen to us. We may see things, we may have to live through things, or we may have to go through things. And it's not for us to not seek the Lord. We're to seek the Lord and rely on him. But going through those things, it's not for us to seek revenge or feel like we need to have justice immediately. Give that to the Lord. Give that to the Lord. And that's what David here, he's crying out to the Lord, because he knows that the Lord will provide protection. And you can go back to what happened, but I'll just give you a little brief summary. During that little visit, Saul went in to use the facilities the restroom, the bathroom, and so he didn't know that David was there. David cut off some of his robe, and he didn't harm Saul, but he cut off, to show that he was close enough. If he were to do it, if he were supposed to do it, but he knew the Lord didn't have that. And so what happened was Saul, he once Saul left the cave, David followed him and said, "Look, I was this close, and I'm not going to return. You're here to kill me, but I'm not here to do that to you." And so Saul, he was like, turn around. It was like, "Hey, he's right. He's right. He's right." He apologized. They pray together, what have you. Go back and read it. Just give you a little summary. You know, said, I'm in the wrong, so I'm returning. I'm returning to uh, the palace, whatever, what have you, where the throne is. And so David was left alone. But David was shown, by not only the people of Israel, but the people who were following him that was a showing of righteousness right there. So think about it. What kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?